Classic.
There we go.
All right, sweet.
There we go. Is the YouTube stream on?
I'm working on this.
It is because I just played it.
In a second here.
Woo, baby. There, Ryan, how long you had?
Cool.
I've got a wink here.
Wink. I don't think I've had one of those before.
Wink. I'm officially I'm going from beer travel guide to THC seltzer travel guide.
Dude, you should, man. They're good. We dabbled for the first time like a week or two ago, and they're good, man. I do think if somebody could make a beer tasting THC drink, that would be.
They make THC beer for sure.
See, I couldn't find anything, at least around here.
Yeah.
Whoa, who changed the font of this chat?
I like that. That's kind of classy.
Oh my God. Who did this?
Classy. Hey, by the way, great comment by Russell here. Hit the thumbs up while you're here. What are you doing? If you're here, hit the thumbs up. Support the channel. Let's go. If you're watching on Twitter, go to YouTube. Leave some comments. Dude. Rob saying it felt like a Zion RJ era win with the black jerseys. We love that. Love the fireworks haze. I'm giving it to you again.
Oh, where's my chat? I'll give it back.
Give it to me again.
There we go. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. It's just gonna be me and Russ tonight. Zion is sleeping probably. Complex got him working too hard. Let me throw in. Oh, bear with me. We have an intro for this thing.
Yeah.
There we go. I think it's this one. Let's go.
Trying not to score and everything with about 30-33s or something.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of felt that. We kind of feed off that energy.
This place is amazing. Like I really love Duke, and I love the atmosphere I'm in here.
Mark Williams, beast mode. Paolo first half, he had the cramping stuff. Fair enough. Beast mode.
Welcome back, everybody. It's been a minute for your boy. I haven't been on the show in a couple weeks. It's good to be back. Coming off a huge victory against Pittsburgh on the road. I tweeted it. I could get used to these road ACC blowouts like this. You don't get them very often lately, it seems like, which isn't a testament to anybody. It's just, it is what it is. Road games are tough to win in college basketball. So Duke wins 75-53 after a dominating start to the first half. And Kyle Filipowski led the way with 26 points and 10 rebounds and shot 11 of 12 from the field, which is, I think, quite impressive. Russell, thoughts on tonight's game?
Yes. Man, what a game. The Notre Dame game, burn the tapes. We can talk some about that today too, but let's enjoy the Pitt win first. Flip, first team All-American. I've been saying it. I'll keep saying it. I think we're going to have to caveat some of this with Pitt's not a good team. They're not, right? That doesn't mean that bad teams can't win games. They certainly can, as we've seen. One beat us already this year. So I don't want to take too much away. And as we're seeing, Monty points out in the chat, Purdue and Houston losing too. There are no elite, untouchable teams right now. So I don't think that us having some struggles or having some flaws or whatever necessitates a panic or necessitates a conversation about how, we're not this, we're not that. I think as long as we keep growing, and there are a lot of promising things here, even against a bad team on the road. 9 players scored. We love that. We love that. A great first half. We love that. Destroying Pitt on the glass, 42-26 on the glass, is absolutely insane, considering that Pitt coming into this game was 52nd in the country in offensive rebound rate, 9th in the country defensive rebound rate. I mean, they got 15 defensive rebounds to our 13 offensive rebounds. What? That's pretty great. The shooting was obviously great. A little anomalous. I mean, it kind of evened out in the second half. We're never going to shoot 57% for a half again. I mean, like, I know we've done it. We did it in the second half of that other game. We can't count on that, right? But I didn't think, despite the really good three-point shooting, that we were three-point reliant. We were still getting inside. We were moving the ball really well. And then the switching on defense, which people were talking about, we're not going to be able to do that all the time, I don't think. I think people are going to watch this game and be like, we should be switching instead of playing drop. Well, we can switch against teams like this that are bad and their big man does not play in the post. Yeah, it makes total sense to switch for this. But then when we play against UNC, I don't think switching is going to make a lot of sense in that game. No. I mean, depending on what Baycott wants to do, I guess. I don't know. I'm pretty. It was my guy in the chat saying "Chit and Chat Holmgren." That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll give him that.
I said Chet homeless. I thought that was. I don't think I made that up. I read that somewhere, but I do like it and I'll feel it. Yeah. So many promising things, and after a Notre Dame game that was really discouraging, I think having a game like this that's really encouraging afterwards. I was actually going to tweet before the game, but I didn't want to jinx it. I wouldn't be surprised if we were looking ahead a little bit to this game, because Pitt just analytically is a lot better. They've played a lot better this year than Notre Dame. So it's possible that we just thought we'll roll, breezed in there, and then we were focusing on this, which I think is a little silly because Shrewsbury is a better coach than Capel, unfortunately. But yeah, lots of good stuff. Ryan, I've rambled enough. Let me drink some more of my seltzer.
Enjoy it. Yeah, just super impressed. The 3-point shooting in the first half was great. The shot selection was there. There were open shots, there were shots in transition, which was nice. The ball movement was phenomenal. The movement off the ball seemed to be nice. It helps when you're making shots, and that can cover up a lot of things. But I just think all in all, a really good game. The scouting report was awesome. I think somebody said that they're impressed that, yeah, here it is. Most impressed at Duke. Read the scouting report and followed it, which was great. Having Flip play this way is when Duke is at its best. I have no problem with Mark Mitchell having big games. There's nothing against him at all, but Duke doesn't lose many games when Flip plays like this. And so just super excited to see Flip back to where he was. And then the guard play, man. I know people always say guards win in March. And so to see those, 4 guys playing the way they have, especially with Proctor coming off the bench, it's super promising. And we're not beating great teams right now, but we're beating teams that we should, and doing it, at least tonight, the way we should be. And now we have a few games, Georgia Tech at home, Pittsburgh at home, and Louisville, I think on the road. Yes, on the road, and then Clemson at home. So 3 more games in a row. We're on a 7-game winning streak right now. There's no reason that streak should not be 10 going into that Clemson game, which will be a big one. So yeah, just super happy about it overall. And hopefully we can continue this, getting a little bit of revenge against Georgia Tech this weekend.
And, the guards didn't even do much on the scoring front, really. I mean, 32 points between those 4 guys. I mean, like, I don't want to turn up my nose at that. That's pretty good.
Very efficient, though, for the most part.
I mean, like 12 for 30 is the shooting from them. I'm not thumbing my nose at it, but it's not like.
Oh, Proctor went 1 for 6, so I guess that's a.
And Roach was 3 for 9. It was kind of an off shooting night for him. But we had, I believe, 18 assists to 7 turnovers from them. And I mean, in the first half, it was less, right? It was in the first half, just looking at the box, we had 10 assists from the guards. We had 2 turnovers, right? I think in the second half, a lot of those turnovers were just the game was over and we were trying to make some sweet plays. I mean, like, that happens. It's human nature. Hard to fight that. Yeah, I think it's really promising to watch guys contribute in a myriad of ways in the backcourt. I also tweeted out the rebounding from the backcourt. I mean, 5 rebounds from McCain, 6 from Proctor, 2 each from Foster and Roach. If our guards are combining for 15 rebounds, we're going to win the rebounding battle. Like, we just will.
Yeah.
That's really, really important for Duke going forward. And again, 42 to 26 on the boards. That's really the stat of the game, in addition to the fact that we shot 44%. I don't want to discount the fact that our defense was really, really good. Like, of the 3-pointers that Hinson made in the first half, on 2 of them, he was smothered. And it still went in. He had one good look. And that one good look was honestly like a little from the logo, like it was a long 3. So we did a really good job denying the easy looks, which we've done above the break all season. But especially tonight against a team that is incredibly reliant on 3-point shooting. I tweeted some numbers about this earlier today as well. That feels really, really great.
Get your thoughts on the Tyrese on the offense side, because it seems like this season he hasn't gotten to the point where we were hoping he was going to get to. And I know obviously the injury comes into play, but what are you seeing from him that either leaves you optimistic or pessimistic?
He had 5 assists, and I would bet if you included hockey assists, it's more. I mean, I think he's creating points. He's just not creating them himself. But as long as he's creating points, then I don't care.
Definitely.
He does, and I also didn't think coming into the season that he needed to be scoring that many points. What we needed from him is the great defense and the creation. And I think he has done both of those things pretty consistently. So I know people are mad that he's not going off for like 16 and 18 and whatever. Like, you know what, guys? It might just be the sort of thing where he might need another summer of shooting the ball before it starts falling consistently. That's okay. Because at the end of the day, when you count up, if you're including points that you are creating, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the top 3 on the team. He's really, really good at that. So I don't mind that. I like seeing Foster doing some creating today. Promising. It's not really something that's been his strength so far this season. So that did look pretty nice. I know a lot of it was after the game was over, but still pretty cool.
7 assists is nothing to shake your head at, though, when it comes to a freshman on the road. Doesn't really matter where.
And you know what?
7 assists is 2 turnovers isn't bad.
I stand corrected. He got 4 of them in the first half. So, that's still great. It might have still been when the game was over in the first half, but
sure.
Because sometimes he's been a little scoring minded. It's nice to see him getting people involved. I think that's great. And then McCain just did what he did. Roach, off game from him, but I thought he played really good defense, really important. Freshman guards also played good defense. My man Jalen Blake's an absolute menace out there. And then we got some good minutes from Ryan Young, positive minutes from Ryan Young. I thought this was a good game for him. 2 blocks from him. We like seeing that. 6 points, 5 rebounds in 15 minutes. That's about right. Especially when Mark Mitchell got into foul trouble, getting a lot more minutes from Ryan that were valuable was good. Off night from Mark, but he's been beasting, so it doesn't matter. And then Sean Stewart, right? I mean, some really nice minutes from Sean Stewart at the end. He got at least 1 block. Did he get 2? Just 1. I thought he got 2. Whatever. 3 offensive rebounds. I mean, 4 points, 4 rebounds, and a block and a steal in 8 minutes. I mean, play the guy.
Right.
You don't have to play much.
Right?
Play him, pull flip if there's a stoppage at the 13-minute mark, and play him until the under 12, right? Play him a minute here, a minute there, and some relief. Get him some experience. I think the more he gets that experience, better off we're going to be in the long run. He looked really efficient tonight. And Pitt left its starters in for a while. I mean, Holmgren and Bub were really stat padding in a serious way down the stretch of that game. So
absolutely. Thank you, Zion. I changed the ticker. Completely forgot about that. This is amateur hour without you here, Zion. You get what you get. All right. We're just gonna have a fun time. I finally changed it. And after I read your comment, it took me like 60 seconds to figure it out. So
also like that Zion's too sleepy to join the podcast, but he's not too sleepy to come in here and tell you to change the ticker. That's pretty good. I like that.
Exactly. But yeah, I was actually very surprised when I had the tweet ready to send. Flip was in the game with 5.5 minutes to go. We were up by 20. The game was over. I was a little shocked by that. I get it from the side of you want to keep these guys playing hot. You want to keep it going, try to figure stuff out, work on things. But like, man, you're up by this much. Their confidence isn't going to get any higher than it was. Like, an injury here would be devastating. Proctor's even out there late, and I get it. He's still coming back with that injury. But just the fact that
Pitt was just firing so many threes and they were starting to go in. And also, you don't want to win after you've been up by like 30 for most of the game. You don't want to win by 12. Like, that's not analytically good. It's not good for your net. It's not like good for your confidence. Zion, you could also podcast in bed for what it's worth. Let's think about microphones, you know?
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. Mark Fry and Zion a little bit. I like that. Charlie points out that Sean Stewart does not set very good screens right now. That is true.
That's very true, man. I saw that twice tonight. I was like, that wasn't effective at all.
But you know how that screening will get better? Reps.
Yeah.
Playing. You know, like you've got to put him in situations where he's playing with the players that he would play with in meaningful minutes. You know. Yeah. This is good. I like having Zion in the comments. Hey, everybody hit the thumbs up for Zion. Zion, you hit the thumbs up. You're here. You're in the comments. I hope you hit that thumbs up already.
Not to.
No reason.
Yeah, I think the second half box score is ugly, man. I can't even like get myself to look at this any longer. But the first half box score,
it's human nature. You can't.
Oh yeah,
like,
I'm not blaming them at all. Like, that's just, it is what it is. I just had it on my screen for far too long there. I apologize. But with the first half, the plus minus, everybody was in the positives. Obviously, the starting lineup was crazy. I think the worst was Foster with a plus minus of 10. I thought Ryan Young actually played well tonight. I don't know if you mentioned it, but he had a block.
Oh boy,
that block he pinned it against the backboard.
Ryan's gummies have set in. Look out. He said he doesn't know if I talked about Ryan Young already.
I heard you say something about a block real quick, and I didn't know if you're talking about Sean Stewart or Ryan Young at the time because I
talked about both of them.
Box score. I'm sorry. I have a lot of stuff going on right now. I don't know how Zion does this by talking and also producing as well.
Zion, this is amateur hour.
Yeah, that's what we should start titling these amateur hours, Ryan and Russ, after these games.
Zion doesn't listen either, but at least Zion, like, he catches it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's good. He's good at multitasking.
He's not coming in and repeating. He understands.
Yeah. But looking ahead now, this game, obviously, great sign of things to come. We have Georgia Tech at home. You know a lot about the numbers of Georgia Tech recently. They're a bad team. They are not good. The fact that we lost to them makes it even more frustrating. But we get them back at home on Saturday for an afternoon game. I think this is one where you have to win by 20 plus to keep the ball rolling, especially with Pitt on deck at home. A week later, we have our bye week in the middle of the week next week, and then Louisville on the road. So there's no reason these games shouldn't be 20 plus point blowouts, especially the two at home. Louisville is trash, but it's a road game. I'm not saying we're going to win by any less than that, but yeah, going anything you want to see from these next three games to set us up for the Clemson game.
Wins. I would like to see.
How about blowouts, not just wins, blowouts.
Not like, yeah, I would like to cover. Like, you know, I don't know that we got back up to the top 10 after today in Ken Palm for what it's worth. Did Georgia Tech lose to Notre Dame? I was trying to look that up. They played tonight. They were losing with not much time left, but I don't know.
They are tied 66-66.
Overtime, somebody says.
Oh, okay. Overtime.
Okay, well, I'm going to turn that shit on over here. Yeah, the fact that you're in overtime against Notre Dame at home, dude.
You know you're a sicko, by the way, when you just turned on Georgia Tech Notre Dame. Yeah,
I mean,
your time.
So embarrassing, dude. Not a good loss, but we have bad losses or bad performances sometimes. I went back and looked at some of our better teams. You know, like Duke struggling in January on the road has been a meme for a while. You know, like for years and years now. You know, you can even look at, like, I forget, there was a 2015 game. I don't remember if it was Boston College or who it was, but against a really bad team where it was like a 3-point game with like 5 minutes left against just an embarrassing team. Certainly in the Paolo season, when we made the Final Four, we had at least one really bad performance like that. It happens, we need to win against Georgia Tech is the most important thing. You cannot lose any of these 3 games. I kind of don't care about the blowing outness of it. I just don't. You have to win. You have to win. Just win, baby. Just win.
I agree. I think there's something to be said about beating these teams that you're supposed to by a wide margin, analytically and just confidence-wise. If Georgia Tech or Pitt comes in and keeps it close for 35 minutes of the game, even till the end, I think it's not great for the confidence. And just this team seems like they're playing to that point right now where if they get it going, this thing could really take off as far as a big winning streak goes, especially going into deeper into ACC play. So I do think blowouts are necessary with these teams on the docket. Now we talk about playing better teams and I'm not as worried about it, but confidence wise at home, bad teams, no reason not to blow them out.
You just can't plan a blowout. You know what I mean? Like you can't plan one. What would be disastrous is losing. If we ended up with one of these 3 games, we dick around for 30 minutes and then win by like 8, it wouldn't feel great, but it'd be a win in the win column. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. You cannot lose to Georgia Tech at home under any circumstances. Lord knows you cannot lose at Louisville, my heavens. And, Pitt is not a good team. So, I mean, we will be favored by 13 to 15 points against Pitt.
Probably more than that.
No, probably not more than that. They're analytically like strangely high because they beat up a bunch of bad teams. And then I think they got like one not terrible win at some point. Yeah, I mean, they beat the hell out of like a couple of mid teams in West Virginia and Oregon State. And then their losses until today, they had not been boat raced really by anybody. So,
but not good in conference play regardless.
Yeah, so they're analytically not bad. You just have to win. And you have to not, especially for that Louisville game, you're going to have Clemson after that and UNC after that. You can't lose that Louisville game, man. You just can't.
Yeah.
You can lose the Clemson game. You can lose the UNC
at home.
But in terms of it not massacring your resume, yes.
Sure.
Yes,
sure.
You can. You can't lose the next 3. And and Monty pointing out the game, the spread tonight was 5.
That's crazy. I didn't even look at it. I meant to.
The spread was 5. I think that they're a bad team. And I just keep saying that very matter-of-factly. They might play well. They might play well against us next game. They probably will. They're going to be pissed. We know they'll be pissed. We know if there's one thing that Cape does, it's motivate guys. The things he's drawing up, I think, are very questionable. But he's an okay motivator. That's the most backhanded compliment you can give. Yeah, Clemson. Really. Somebody pointing out the Virginia Tech game, saying we are going to lose the Virginia Tech game. Hey, man, I know this. I know I said this before, and Zion gave me shit for it. I would put my mortgage on not losing necessarily, but not covering. I do not think there is. I don't think we have a chance of covering that Virginia Tech game. We're going to be looking ahead to UNC. We're going to look ahead to UNC. We will have just done Clemson. Now, no, you know what? I take it back. If we lose at home to Clemson, then maybe we're more dialed in. So it depends on the Clemson game. But if we beat Clemson, sleepy first half at Virginia Tech, stone cold lock, baby. That's human nature. That's human nature.
Bet against Duke in the first half of that Virginia. That was exactly where my point was going to get to, is a Virginia Tech game. If we can clear out the next 4 games of good winnable games, and Virginia Tech is obviously a winnable game, but that's one that like you can almost maybe pencil in as a loss. Like just don't. And if they somehow win that game,
that's why I said it. That's why I said it, Zion. That's why I said the mortgage line. I want us to cover. I'm going to use it as a reverse jinx. I'm going to use it as a reverse jinx every time.
If Mark is accurate, go ahead.
Am I? I was trying to figure out if it's a reverse jinx.
I think it's a reverse jinx. Yeah. No, you're just trying to get your.
I'm jinxing my own thing by saying it. Whatever. The seltzer's kicking in. The point is, it's
That's
our
a
most
bad
likely
idea.
L. Mark is right, and I do think we've lost like 4 of the last 5 at Virginia Tech, or 3 of the last 5, 4 of the last 6. We've lost a lot at them recently, which sucks.
Yeah. Well, and it's a tough place to play. Somebody brought up, when was the last time we went undefeated in January? If it possibly happens, I think that'd be a huge feat. I'm going to take Mark for his word. Seems like a smart guy. January, the last undefeated January we had was in 1999. Some people that are watching this probably weren't even alive then. That would be kind of crazy.
Mark, how many Januaries have we not played a single good team during? You know what I mean? Like, we'll play Clemson.
Come on, Clemson.
We'll play Clemson. That's one in a month. You know what I mean?
Undefeated January in the ACC.
I agree. I'm not sleeping on it. It would be great. But when I was looking back through to see how many times we've lost to not very good teams in January, once you get past a certain year, there aren't bad teams in the conference, right?
Yeah, good point.
Then you can't lose a game to a bad team because they're all good. And now in the ACC, that is not the case. So, Virginia Tech is going to come out with their plumbers and firemen, and they're going to make 12 3-pointers, and it's gonna be an annoying ass game to watch. There's no question.
What would be really cool in that game is to not see anything concerning with the freshmen like that. That's a game where, like, when you're loaded up with freshmen, you worry about the looking ahead thing. You worry about it regardless, but like with McCain and Foster, and just seeing how they respond to that moment, especially at that big of a road environment. I think one of the announcers tonight said that's the loudest stadium he's ever been in is in Blacksburg. I think he said something along those lines. He said he has never been to a Duke UNC game in Cameron, but he said it's even louder than Cameron when he's been there. So it is what it is. Shots fired, but it's just always a tough place to play. It's not aesthetically pleasing to watch on TV because Duke never plays well anyways. But I think if this team can go undefeated in January, then we have the at UNC on the 3rd of February. After that, it's a bunch more winnable games because the ACC sucks. And like our hardest game would come middle of February at Florida State. And I believe did they just play? No, they're still 3-1 in the conference. Right. So
Castle's on Duke shows up. I think that you're looking at it differently than I'm looking at it. When you're looking at the ACC and being like, well, there's not really there's not really like good wins or good teams we're going to be playing there. So, then our next game against a good team is over here. Yeah, but that also means there's a lot of landmines. That means there's way more landmines. And this team is still young. Like when you were talking about the freshmen looking ahead, how about the sophomores looking ahead? Like, they've not played that many road games. They have not played that many points in a schedule where the UNC game is the next game. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that in the Notre Dame game, Jeremy Roach in the first half was like by miles and miles the best player and felt like the player that was most like up for the game. The second half, Mark started turning on, players started to figure out a little more. But, I don't think it's a coincidence that in that spot with a game at Pitt coming up next and Notre Dame had not been good, that maybe the rest of the team, sophomores included, were sleeping a little bit at the beginning. And Jeremy Roach was like, give me the rock.
It definitely would be the most surprising thing. They also didn't play in Blacksburg last year. Looking at the schedule, they played them at home in like December. So I think that's a game. It's a scary game. It's a game where it's like you might as well pencil it in as a loss. It's not going to be a bad loss. Not going to destroy a resume. But if you can steal a win there, and then you go to UNC and anything happens, man, just got to show up, and you never know what's going to happen. That game, very excited to see how both coaches go after that, and specifically the Baycott and Flip thing. But we're not going to do a whole preview about that right now.
Not yet. Hit the thumbs up in the YouTube, everybody. Hit the thumbs up.
Yes, please do that. Okay, we didn't prep at all for this, but my only other question for you was going to be about Tyrese Proctor in the starting lineup. I know we talked a little bit about Proctor and his offensive struggles lately, which we're not super concerned with as long as he's distributing.
Shooting struggles. Let's be clear.
Sorry, not offensive. Yeah, you're right. Shooting struggles and scoring struggles. We're not too concerned about that. Do you think the coaching staff should put him back into the starting lineup at any point in the next 2 or 3 games?
If we look bad, I mean, you can't do it now.
Well, we
Like,
did. We looked bad against Notre Dame. We looked
and
bad for
I was
32
kind
minutes
of,
against Syracuse.
you know what? If Proctor had not looked so bad against Notre Dame, I think they would have made that change. You know, like,
Yeah.
and the Notre Dame game again, like, to bring it up, I know it was alarming, but I think I tweeted this. When Flip and Proctor, your two best NBA recruit kind of guys, draft guys, think
Mhm.
when they both play by far their worst game of the season. I mean, I'd have to look back to freshman year to say if it's the worst game of their career, but like they weren't very good and we still won, you know. Well,
Yeah.
so you take it. I don't think they can make a change unless the team looks bad. And I do think that the fact that Foster is a better shooter this season than Proctor. It's so funny. We were talking about this, like, should McCain or Foster start thing coming into the season. And my stance on it was you want the guy who can space the floor. So I was voting for McCain. I was like, you know, you need spacing around Flip. You need spacing around Mark. You got to have it. Now with Foster shooting about 38% from three, McCain obviously shooting lights out. Proctor only shooting 32% from three.
Yeah.
I just don't think the gap is wide enough to make a change right now. Maybe later. Maybe later. I still think he's our best creator. He needs to be playing a good amount of minutes, which he currently is. But yeah, I wouldn't make that change if we just almost doubled up Pitt until we took our foot off the gas. So
Yeah, I think with these teams of lesser capabilities, I'm not as worried about it. It's when we do get into the games against Carolina, these bigger games, Clemson, I would consider a bigger game as well as a top 25 matchup. It's just I have more comfort or have a lot more confidence in Proctor running the show, and rather than coming off the bench, I think I'd rather have Foster coming off the bench in those games. That's not a knock on Foster. It's just the experience at that point when it comes to these bigger games. I don't think you would be kicking yourself after the game if you lost, if Proctor started and didn't play well. I think it's a smart move as far as just confidence while out there. The experience level and his ability to facilitate and run the offense is huge. And in those big games, we've seen it a few times earlier in the season. It can just be too big for freshmen, and just having that ball security as well from Proctor, I think, is good to have back. So I'm not looking for him to come back by the next two games. I think maybe at Virginia Tech is kind of the game if he plays well in these next few games and shows that he's back, I think you kind of try to sneak him in against maybe Virginia Tech one game before UNC, and then kind of have him back in fully starting by UNC. That'd be my goal and hope. It's not a shot against Foster. I like Proctor a lot and think he's better off starting than coming off the bench.
yeah, I mean, again, if Foster's playing this well and all four of them are playing well, then like it doesn't matter. Like we can do whatever and it'll be fine. We'll just need Roach in there.
I should say the spark mentality that Foster can bring you off the bench, I think, is a little bit more palpable than Proctor's, because sure, Proctor is going to facilitate better, he's going to do some other things better, but as far as like the hustle, the play, I shouldn't say playmaking, but the defensive ability and the athleticism, like Foster can provide a spark, like an emotional spark. I don't know if Proctor's more suited for that coming off the bench and providing a spark role as Foster is.
Maybe. I don't know. I think I agree.
Disagree. I'm fine with it.
No, I think I agree in theory. Yeah, Georgia Tech is absolutely a Q3 loss. Lock City, dude. I knew it was a lock for a while. Really, we just need them to not be a Q4 lock. because the wheels can fall off of them motherfuckers real fast. Yeah, I don't know what I think about the Foster versus Proctor thing right now. I think they just need to play. I think that role. I mean, didn't he come off the bench like 2 minutes in or something? Like, didn't
I
he
missed the first couple of minutes because I couldn't get ESPN.
So then who cares who starts?
Yeah.
You know, and also Winning cures like everything too. You know, I was talking about. No, I wasn't talking about this. I was listening to people talk about this. It's really funny how you start to hear. It was about Jonathan Kuminga. It's like, oh, it's interesting that like he's lost faith now that they're losing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's a good point.
winning cures a lot, and they've not really been using him as much as they should for a while. But like they were winning, so who cares? Now that they're losing, that's enough. You know,
Exactly. Yeah, and it's definitely not something that like I'm passionate about. Like we need Proctor back in the starting lineup. It's just like a talking point, and it's something that the coaching staff has to consider going forward. And I would assume Proctor is accepting the role well behind the scenes, but it's also another thing where it's like, is he not happy in that position because he came back as the point guard of the team?
He seems fine. I mean, I think he has some things to work on still. I think he's very, very good at certain things. Somebody asked, I thought it was in here. Well, you said, is Proctor stock dropping? Say that 5 times fast, Ryan, right now.
Not a chance, dude.
Proctor stock dropping. 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 Let's go.
You forgot the is in front of it, so it doesn't count.
Whatever. Who cares? So I think you can't teach what Proctor does well. You can't teach it. He just has it. So yes, his stock is dropping in the sense that like he has to shoot the ball well in order to realistically be like a lottery pick or even like a top 20 pick. But if you want to just take the flyer and be like, hey, he was hurt earlier this year. Maybe he would have shot better. We want a guy. You know what I mean? Like, let's go. I still don't expect him back. I've seen people floating that around on Twitter.com, X.com. Nobody calls it. I think I don't buy that. Not yet. He's still too good at passing. He's still too good at defense. He still makes enough free throws to make you think, hey, this is a guy who the shooting should come along. And so it probably will later in the season. It certainly did last year. He might just still be dealing with the injury. If you look at the games before he got hurt, I know he had bad games in the losses, like in the first losses, but like Michigan State, he played great. He played great in, I don't have the numbers in front of me and I don't care to look them up. He was great in a couple of those games. And then I had somebody after the Notre Dame game, oh man, this pissed me off. Somebody messaged me, what's Proctor's worst game this season? It's hard to say because like each of his games is the worst game. Ooh. That was like, but dude, against Syracuse, his second game back from injury, he was 14 points on 5 of 7 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3 with 4 assists, 2 turnovers in 27 minutes. That's a really good game. That's a really good game. Like people are absolutely bugging when it comes to like he's so bad. But they do the same thing for Flip. Like I think fans in general need to drink a Wink THC seltzer and chill out.
Yeah, I mean, it's always this guy. I mean, it happens to me. I'm a victim of it all the time where after a loss, it's the sky's falling and everything needs to change and everyone's got to come back and stay. So
you get caught up in a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that somebody made a point. Shane made a good point. Clearly, what did he say first? He said it's pretty clear he's still recovering. Which I don't want to say it's super. Yeah, I definitely think that's a possibility too. And they're still easing him back because what'd you say? Because it was the Syracuse game was the second game back, right? He played against Queens, and Syracuse second game back. So we're not that far past him coming back.
He has as many turnovers since he's come back as he had in the whole season before he got hurt. You know, I think that his like handle just looks a little looser, that his passing looks like a little loosey-goosier since he got back. So yeah, he might just be running like a quarter step low right now. And when you're running the point and you're making the sorts of passes and reads and change of pace movements that he's doing, that quarter step is a lot. It makes a big difference. I forget who it was who said the difference between like Chet Holmgren's reach and Victor Wembanyama's reach, that it's something like 4 inches of reach or whatever. But they're like, think about how big when it comes to the game of basketball, like going from here versus like going to here is. Like, how many times you see outstretched hands? You know what I mean? How many times you see outstretched hands and the ball like comes here? Now add that. That's insane, So I think that quarter step, that little tiny bit, makes a lot bigger a difference than people consider.
Yeah, I agree. You set yourself up for some jokes there with the 4 inches comment, but we'll move on from that one.
Ryan's mind. Put your thumbs up in the comments if Ryan's mind is dirty.
Oh man, it absolutely is. But yeah, I agree with you though. It is concerning, especially when you have the ball in your hands as much as he does, how much of a difference just a slight being 90%, not 95% makes in effectiveness as well. That's a kind of a concerning stat to have the turnovers be the same as they were before his injury. But still, I hope to see him back in the starting lineup. Otherwise, been going for 40 minutes. We coming off a blowout game. Any final thoughts from you from the team tonight and going forward?
I think that everything is fine. I think that Flip's struggle those 2 games, he's still a young player. I know people don't want to hear that. He's still a young player. I know he's a returning player. He's going to have a couple of tough games hither and yon. It's going to happen. Proctor, same deal, especially coming back from injury. And as Zion's pointed out on the show before, Flip didn't have a summer. He had no summer to work at all. Yep. So, that's really tough. And Flip is still having a first-team All-American season this year. His rim protection is fine. I think people are blowing that way out of proportion. The number of people who insist that Flip is a 4 blows my mind.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't think he's a 4 on either side of the floor. Just because you can shoot threes doesn't make you a 4. You can be a 5 and shoot threes, but we've seen him do those the handle move, to try and shake and bake. They're trying to do some shit with the handles, which in the NBA that's what 4s have to do. 4s have to Kevin Durant that shit, and Flip at the next level, I think, is a 5. And I think he's played very well and acquitted himself very well at 5 here so far this season. Proctor, same deal. Preseason expectations, throw him out the window. He's creating. He's defending. He's doing the things we asked. Jeremy Roach having way better a season than even people who were sunny about what his statistical output would be this season would think.
Roach flat out proved me wrong. I admit when I'm wrong, but I was the one that said maybe you don't start Jeremy this year to start the year, and I gave my apology already. But
he is also and I know this is dependent on opponent to some extent due to his size. He is defending better this year. He is having I don't know that I would say he's a big net positive on defense, but tonight he was doing well. He's not his problem has always been when he has to guard somebody who's 6'4" or whatever, right? Guys his size and smaller, he's actually really good, and that's what he's seen so far this year. So I think Duke is fine at the end of the day, and we'll lose another game that we shouldn't lose, and that's okay. It just has to be against not Louisville. and preferably not at home. Those are the two requirements. What is Lisa's stat here? Flip is the 3rd Duke player in 25 seasons to have a 25-point double-double on 90% field goal percentage. I wonder who the other 2 are. Lisa, I was gonna guess Zion. Well, Zion's the obvious one. I don't know that I would have gone Boozer. I don't know that I would have thought it was him. I would have thought it was Sheldon, maybe.
Yeah, 25 years that limits you. Got to be a big. I'm trying to did Dukeman basketball stats tweet that, or where did you get that?
The answer is in the chat, and also I did say it out loud already.
I heard you say I heard both.
Oh,
I thought you were talking about.
Ryan.
I thought no. I thought you were talking about other people in the comments said that, not Lisa gave you the answers. So
Ryan took that gummy, ripped it in half, and put it right in his ears. He didn't ingest it the normal way.
it
You know what I
was.
mean?
So in case anybody was wondering, it was Zion and Boozer who were the other two to have a 25-point double-double on 90% field goal percentage in the last 25 seasons. So good job, Lisa. Thank you for providing that. I mean,
Ryan, what comments do you have?
mine was going to go on the flip trend too, as most people who are listening know. I was at the Syracuse game, so getting to see it up close and personal. Him and Ryan Young just both immediately get into foul trouble was so frustrating. And this is a blanket statement that might not be proven true with analytics, but it's basically he gets into foul trouble or has a really freaking good game. It's one or the other. And if he can just stay out of foul trouble, which all the good teams have pretty much gotten him into for the most part. And that's what worries me against teams like UNC, Clemson as well. Like I worry, and we can't afford to have Flip on the bench for the majority of the first or second half because of foul trouble. So I think it's I don't want to say it's as simple as, and I don't want to sit here and say it's as simple as just don't get into foul trouble. But at this point, it seems like it is. As long as you're on the floor, Flip, we're having a good time and things are going well. When him and Proctor are both on the floor together, things are even better. The ball moves, the off-ball offense is moving around. So I think it's almost that simple. Stay out of foul trouble, and this team's ceiling is incredibly high.
And Duke needs to. I saw again another couple of comments about Sean Stewart in the chat back there somewhere. Duke does need to figure out what they're going to do in terms of minutes without Flip. I know that Ryan Young had some good minutes today, and I think that's really our only our only course right now. But like, we got to give Sean Stewart some stuff. Chris, no, Chris, no, don't say you too, Ryan. For the listeners, Chris commented Russ the star of the show, and he was right. And then he said you too, Ryan, and now he's wrong. Nice. Zion's texting us angrily that Ryan messed up some stuff again. We love it. Whatever. Guys, come over to YouTube and hit the thumbs up. So I think that we need to come up with a plan for when Flip is out. We've talked about it already. I think playing Sean Stewart is a good way to sneak 4 minutes. Like, Stewart does not need to play 12 minutes a game to make an impact. If he can give us 4 to 6 net positive minutes, that would be colossal for when we start playing the more athletic teams that we're going to face in the NCAA tournament. I said on maybe here, either this or on Twitter, when you look in your crystal ball and you're wondering, well, how does Duke lose in the tournament this year? The thing that I see in the crystal ball is Flip gets 2 fouls in the first 6 minutes of the first half of a game against a really good team. And if Flip can only play like 24 minutes or whatever, then we are very much in trouble. You know what I mean? So all the more reason to play Stewart a little bit to try to figure out some options beyond good luck, Ryan, which is currently the option. You make great points there, just because the fact that we don't have anybody then to fill that in. And the Stewart thing, I don't see it happening. He's not getting minutes in a 30-point blowout in the second half really against Pittsburgh until 3-4 minutes left in the game. Like, that's concerning to me. Power, I think, was in before he was. So actually, I don't know that that's true. I think Stewart might have come in before Power.
Oh, okay. I think
they pulled Flip earlier than they pulled.
Flip got pulled at 5:38 left because I looked up and was like, why is he still in the game? Because
I think that's more or less when they put Sean in.
Yeah.
Actually, Sean played 8 minutes, didn't he? What did he play? He played 8 minutes. Yeah. Power played 5. -8. So I want to see more of that. Somebody did say play Blake's at the 4 if Flip is in foul trouble. I really want to see some Mark Mitchell 5 minutes still, but the small sample that we have, it did not go very well. So it's kind of hard to see him in conference play being like, let's roll him out. K. Rose says, what's the deal with Reeves? I know it says Flip, but have you heard anything else? Right now, the only thing we know is that he's not dressing out. So I'm assuming it's still the foot. I I don't
I
know
think
that
he
a
has
healthy
a boot on it, doesn't he?
a different Russell said surely a healthy Reeves is an okay option. I don't know, man. Like, because I think
Yeah, that's
Reeves more or less plays the same way that Ryan Young plays. But Ryan is a little more seasoned, a little stronger, a little more experienced, and a little more fleet of foot, frankly. So, like, I think Reeves just needs a little more time. You definitely have to play Reeves in drop. Any single time that you play him, he's got to be in drop. He can't move in space. So, I just don't know that he's going to be ready to hold down a drop coverage type defense and know exactly where he's supposed to be at all times in meaningful ACC games right now, even for a few minutes. And yeah, Brandon says he is medically redshirting, I bet, and leaving after the season. I don't know about that part, but him medically redshirting would make a lot of sense, you know?
Yeah. It's I'm not going to get into all the stuff that you kind of just got into about Reeves and why I'm not sure either of us believe in him providing productive minutes if Flip was out. I don't know if he. Yeah, I don't think he'd be the answer regardless. Maybe in a year or two he would be, but not this year. So yeah, I think if.
Can you finish your damn point?
Nope, that was it. Let's hear it.
It says they've got fake Russes on Twitter chat. Who are these fake Russes? I don't know what this is.
That. Shoot Russ a DM. He loves getting DMs.
Yeah, shoot me a DM that somebody is flattering me enough to be a fake me. And then a couple of people also asked in here what to expect, in terms of who we should expect back. I think a lot of that is way up in the air. I think it's so up in the air. I think it's up in the air in terms of who would leave to go pro. I think it's up in the air in terms of who would explore alternate NIL options. I think in terms of who we might look at on the transfer market, it's very up in the air, depending on a lot of those things. I think it's all very up in the air. So we'll just see. Hopefully we play so well that we make a Final Four or a championship or what have you. And in that scenario, we probably do lose a bit more, but then we also have made the Final Four or won a title or whatever. So I'd be okay with that.
That is a question that, like, normally in January, I'm pretty, like, we're normally able to answer or give, like, with 75% accuracy. And right now, like, I've never felt less confident in giving an answer to that question from the amount of people we have coming in.
Sure.
Maybe a couple more possibly coming in before next season that haven't committed yet. You never know there. And then you have transfers. Then you just have, I don't know. It's either way, it's going to be an overhaul of some sort. Just because the sheer amount of people we have coming in. But yeah, right now, like, it's weird to be have this little confidence in who's coming back next year.
Yeah, it's either that or we lose. It's either we lose guys are here or we lose somebody. Like, there's no way to stack bodies
scholarship wise. You really even can't, like,
A, scholarship wise, and B, like, realistically ego wise. A lot of the guys have aspirations of being professional basketball players at some point. And Shire's never really playing more than 8 guys. So, like, he hasn't shown that propensity yet. So, like, there's no way we're going to – I mean, don't get me wrong. If we keep all these guys and we actually ran a 10-man rotation, I would be over the moon. I just don't see it happening. K-Ro says we haven't recruited a point guard for 2024. I would bet decent money that unless we really clean up in the tournament this year, that we would have – at least one of McCain or Foster back. I think bare minimum that feels very likely.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm looking at it. I would be surprised and disappointed if we did not return 2 out of the 4 guards that are getting playing time right now. I take that back. You can include Blake's in there, I'd say. I think we return 2 to 3 of them back. I'm pretty confident in that. Just because, like you said, we don't have true point guards coming in, and no one really recruiting that's a point guard in any capacity either. So, because VJ Edgecombe is a wing, so I'd be shocked if we didn't return at least 2 out of the 5 that are getting minutes right now.
I think if VJ Edgecombe doesn't come to Duke, it says a lot about who he expects to be here. So if he does come to Duke, I think he is expecting at least 3 of the 5 guards that get minutes to be gone. Would be my guess. And maybe 4 of the 5 to be gone.
Could be.
I think that's certainly a worst case scenario would be 4 of the 5, I would think. And then in a best case scenario, at least in terms of how cool would it be, I mean, there's a chance we return 3 or 4 of these guys. I don't know what it would mean in terms of minutes. It would be absolutely bananas. But
it gets gnarly the more. I mean, like I have the class pulled up just
the Mark Mitchell thing. Yeah, the Mark Mitchell scenario is another. What I have no idea what that's going to look like or what that's going to be. Pablo says
you guys
VJ
talked about it.
Period. I like Pablo's VJ to do period.
Well, according to Trilly, we were the team to beat, and I think that one will be ending at some point in the next couple months, if not sooner. With that being said, with the Mark thing, it'll be interesting because you have obviously Flagg is starting next year. That's a no-brainer. But guys like Isaiah Evans, who would kind of be that 3-ish kind of play that Mark Mitchell role, except for I think he's a much better player. Maybe not the college. Regardless, it's just there's so many.
He's a more versatile talent at present.
Offensively, especially
in terms of self-creation. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyways, you have a lot. You have Khan coming in as well, who's that 3-4 area in high school, maybe more of a 4 with the size there. But regardless, there's just a logjam everywhere you look. If you just bring in the guys and keep everybody in the roster, which obviously isn't possible, like we said, with scholarships and such. But like, there's just a logjam there. And when you have a class that's right now at 5 guys, who I think probably 3, maybe 4 are looking at wanting to get minutes right away. And then maybe possibly 2 more guys that come on into that class. So that's bringing in 7 guys like that. I mean, it's going to get interesting. I don't think I don't have an answer for it right now. And I just think it'll be interesting to see how the staff plays this out, because I don't want to lose a commit.
If we bring in 7 dudes, people will transfer. I mean, that's
absolutely. It's just
how many is the question. We're not going to have another offseason without a transfer. There's 0 chance of that. I'd be stunned.
And I would hope that we would be able to bring in one. Like if we don't get VJ, you bring in a experienced wing. I'm getting a headache. My head's spinning thinking about all the possible scenarios of if McCain leaves, if he comes back, and Foster. It's just, it's January 9th. I can't do this.
we also probably want to have a 5. Like Coop is sick as a defender, but he's going to want to play. He is an NBA 4 for sure. So I would like to see. I would like to see a 5. I forget who I was talking with about this. Yeah, and he's good, but the injuries concern me a little bit in terms of just preparation. I love Stewart at the 5. To Afasto in the chat, I love Stewart at the 5. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. But Duke's also recruiting the NBA Academy Africa big man. I'm gonna butcher how you say his name because I haven't heard it be spoken.
Let's hear Ryan pronounce this name right now.
No, I'm not bad. I'm good at this. Okay, Kaman Maluak is how I'm gonna pronounce it.
All right, we're gonna get a judge's read on that. I don't know how to say it. I also don't have it in front of me, so I don't know. I don't even know how everything is spelled. To be honest,
it's Khaman. Come on. I doubt it's common. It's probably come on, and then Maluach.
Come on with the segment already, Jesus.
Maluach. I think. Oh, Mark, screw you. I think I nailed it. Anyways, they're recruiting him so that I don't think Duke right now believes that Sean Stewart's their starting 5 next season. It doesn't seem that way, at least.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair, and I think that's upsetting. I think that especially with the chemistry that Flagg and Stewart would be bound to have from playing together in high school.
Yeah,
I mean,
love that.
I kind of think you have to give them at least a good amount of run. But we're going to run into the same problem we ran into this year, where Theo Johns don't grow on trees. Like guys who can come in and give you that level of play right away and will accept 20 minutes a game. Very limited, very limited number of players anywhere that would do that.
Yeah.
Jamie Shaw is in the chat, giving some
There we
positional breakdown stuff. Very interesting. Put that up. We hadn't even brought up Harris, who's awesome.
It is common. I think
Jamie fried you. Jamie, you got fried.
Technically, I butchered it.
He butchered it.
But Jamie's got to admit, for the first time ever saying that name out loud, that it made sense.
Some of those positional things are interesting. I think that some of those positional things I might be more inclined to agree in terms of like their pro, where they play as a pro, than versus where they would probably play as at Duke. Yeah. Although then again, if Mark Mitchell comes back, Cooper at the 3, like Cooper and Mark as like 3-4 guys. Yeah. It'd be a big fucking team. Oh my God.
Spacing would be a little interesting there if you have them 3 and then 5.
Yeah, that would be completely insane. But yeah, and somebody said, do I think Proctor might come back? I mean, no, but I don't think the number is 0%.
He's young. I'll give that
more than 0%.
Yeah. I think with Proctor, his age is in our favor. Yeah, thank you, Jamie. I gave it my best shot, man. After Gummy was even harder.
No, put the pressure on, Jamie. Yeah, I think that Proctor has lost some NBA draft stock, but I also think he's got another 2 to 3 months to win a lot of it back. Yeah. He is still young. And I think it'll just depend to some extent on, now that he'll have 2 years under his belt. I do often think that the guys who've played 2 years might seriously consider, well, unless I am a lottery pick, let me get my degree, because I can probably, if I take some summer classes, get my degree in 3 years. We've had a lot of Duke players do this. Yeah. It's not impossible. It's not 0%. Afosto says Derek Lively had lost a lot of draft stock this time last season. Yeah, but he went from like top 7 to top 14. Like he didn't fall out of the
he dropped into the 20s, I think, at some point, depending upon where you look. But regardless, I get your point.
I think the Dallas, I think everyone in the world saw the Dallas match. Like once Dallas was 14th, once they knew that Dallas would be in the lottery, it's like, well, Derek Lively is 100% going to be a lottery pick. Yeah. The other Russell says Proctor probably earns the stock back postseason workouts. I think his chances of earning that stock back come in the next 2 to 3 months. And I think if Duke does a nice run in the tournament, Proctor acquits himself well, I don't think he needs to score a lot of points to get that draft stock up. No. But you also have to think about realistically, if you're an NBA point guard and you don't shoot the 3 at an elite level and you're not like a mega athlete, that's a tough combo. That's really hard to get minutes. I mean, if Chris Dunn can't really play for more than a decade, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like Chris Dunn is the most athletic dude on the planet.
Legend.
And had great stats and carried a team, and they drafted him. I don't know why I brought him up. He's just in my mind the first. He's in my mind the first guy who comes up when it's like guys who dominate in college, but they couldn't shoot, and so that became a problem. And I think you've also seen over the years countless players who aren't elite athletes, but they can shoot the leather off the ball, and then they do pretty well as a pro. But minus both of those is pretty tough. So I don't know, better than 0%. But again, I'm rooting for the result that we're all rooting for, which is Duke wins a title. Because if Duke wins a title, the fact that Tyrese Proctor will have played beautifully, and then exactly. Tyrese Proctor will be probably a top. He'll be at least a first round pick in that scenario, and then he'll have a decision to make. But
man, if winning the title clears everything, I don't even care what happens next. I care what happens next season, but it's almost
winning like the title. Oh, I mean, at this point, well, I mean, maybe this is a good question to end on, Ryan, because we haven't talked about it in a minute, and now we've seen a lot of the team. Let's say there's a world in which the devil has approached you, Satan himself, Beelzebub, and he has told you he has told you that Duke is definitely not going to end this season with a banner. Okay.
Oh my God.
What's the minimum? What's the worst result we could get where you would still feel good about John Shire as the coach of the future going forward?
Oh God.
Yeah. Good question. Because like a lot of people in the chat would be like, he has to win a title. I like, yes, for my heart, but also no for like practical. It's really hard to win a title, right? So what's the worst postseason result that we could get where you would still be like, fuck yeah, Shire's?
Yeah, there's a lot of variables there, but I'll just take it at surface level because it's how like, oh, if we lose in
put in the comments. There have been multiple people so far who have said Elite Eight. K-Ro says win the ACC tourney and lose in the Elite Eight. That's a big.
Yeah, I've been rough on Shire at times. I think if we get to the Sweet 16 and lose, depending on how we lose, if it seems like the offense was stagnant and they were doing some Ryan Young plays a ton of minutes, whatever. If it's something to do with coaching, then I would say that's not great for the outlook of this tenure at Duke. But I do think if it's Sweet 16 and they lose to a really good team that got hot late or something like that, and it's not a bad loss, it's just a shitty matchup, something like that, then I think that's okay. Yeah,
I definitely. If we don't finish top 2 in the ACC this year in a bad ACC, I know it's better than last year, still bad. With this roster, especially considering we should have won the ACC last year, right? In terms of the regular season, then I won't be happy. I think we should definitely, at bare minimum, finish top 2. Yeah. And then I think the tournament then depends on seeding and everything else. Because like, what if we get a 4 seed? Yeah. Then like, am I going to be like Shire's not my guy if we don't make the Elite Eight when we could be playing a 1 seed?
Purdue, yeah.
I like no. So yeah, Jamie says Shire's the guy. I have liked a lot of what Shire has done since those losses. I do think that ultimately we've made some changes. We figured some things out. Obviously, we adjusted the defense today, and that led to a huge win. He's shown some propensity to dribble or to adjust, to tinker. You know what I saw today, Ryan? And man, I hope somebody, Jamie, maybe you can do this. There was a lot more off-ball action on offense today, I feel like. When I was looking for it and seeing players that were not either the player with the ball or the player setting the screen, I was seeing like stuff going on over here too, which when we were losing the games was not happening, right? So that's cool. That's amazing. That makes me feel really good about my coach.
The Syracuse game was the exact same way in the first half. I literally was like, I yelled out like a little bit. I said, no one's moving. And my wife looked at me like, what do you mean? I'm like, just watch this next offensive possession. She's like, oh my God, it's just standing and dribbling the ball. It's like, what is going on? Second half, when we shot 9-9 from 3 or whatever it was, the movement was insane that even my wife noticed. Like, look at all like, it just looks like chaos out there now. And so it's like, it's just a different, the adjustments. The adjustments have been there these last few weeks at least, and that's a great sign. That's why I'm saying I think the tough thing is the expectations coming into this season were very high, and so I feel like it'd be weird for me to sit here and say I'd be okay with a Sweet 16 exit if it's a tough loss as far as looking at Shire goes. The talent we brought back is enough to say, Elite Eight is at least what you have to get to, if not a Final Four, I think is understandable of fans.
Yeah, I think it would just make it so that next year with Cooper Flag, like,
oh my God,
like a ride or die year, like 110%. But enough about the postseason. We've got to beat some great ACC opponents, like I was gonna say Georgia Tech, but they did fucking beat us. So is there the opposite of fireworks if I do this on the screen? See, now this is why you watch on YouTube. This is why you watch the stream. Why you hit the thumbs up. Do
That was
also
amazing.
listen to the podcast, but man, that was a lovely moment.
That was perfect. That was a good callback for a few weeks ago. All right, man. It's been over an
Yes,
hour, and
more than you wanted.
yeah, that's okay. But
Can I do the closing plugs real quick?
you go ahead, man. Do it.
Yeah, so Duke NBA, the Duke Nation, and Duke Better on Twitter. Also, Crazie Cast, Crazie Cast on Twitter. Guys, go to Apple Podcasts, even if you're in here right now, especially if you're in here right now and you're still listening. Once this podcast is posted, it'll be posted by tomorrow morning. Go to your Apple Podcasts, download the episode, and listen to it. Like we are loving the numbers we are getting on these streams, but because so many of you are tuning in here, I feel like our podcast numbers should be should pop a little more, considering how lively and wonderful our chat section is. So I want to encourage people to also go get the Apple Podcast. We are going to be dropping soon, maybe in the next week or two, depending on Zion's schedule. We're going to do a non-live show that you can only listen to on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So please go give us a subscribe. Please go download it, send it to your friends, so on and so forth. And then obviously when you're at the YouTube feed, please hit the thumbs up. Again, please share it on Twitter. Get people to click, get people to watch. Juice these numbers, baby. Make Field of 68 say, whoa, you had me at hello.
Lifetime contract. Make him say lifetime contract.
Lifetime contract. Yeah. Tweet at Rob Dowser and at Jeff Goodman and say Ryan and Russell need lifetime contracts and Zion needs a provisional year-by-year contract.
I love it. All right, man. Any more plugs?
Stay awake.
Yeah, true that. Any more plugs? We good?
I think we're good, man.
Yeah, we're real good. All right.
We're real good, baby.
Appreciate everyone joining. It's good to be back. There they are. Yeah, good to be back. Duke wins, blows out Pittsburgh on the road. Great game. Thanks all for joining. Have a great night.